Okay, we're going to practice some expressions with order of operations here. So if you want to write yourself a little reminder so you have this to look back at, PEMDAS, and remember left to right for multiplication, left to right for addition, subtraction, whatever comes first. So you're going to evaluate this expression using the order of operations. You have this expression, evaluate 2xy plus 3 times x plus y when x is 4, y is 7. The first thing you're going to do is replace all the x's with 4 and all of the y's with 7. So I have 2 times 4 times 7 plus 3 times 4 plus 7. I just replaced those. Now I'm going to follow my order of operations. So order of operations says parentheses first. Parentheses means go do anything inside of the parentheses. Here I see 4 plus 7, which is 11. I'm going to bring everything else down so I don't get confused. If you start skipping steps and doing more than one step on a line, you're probably going to make an error. Okay, then it says I need to do multiplication division from left to right. So I go look for multiplication. The first multiplication or division I see, I'm going to do that. 2 times 4 is 8. Bring everything else down. 8 times 7 plus 3 times 11. Then I'm still on multiplication here because I see 8 times 7 is 56. Bring everything else down. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going with multiplication because I see more multiplication. 3 times 11, 33. And finally, I have two numbers with one expression. 56 plus 33, which equals 89. Okay, we're going to move ahead here. Now you're going to evaluate the expression with some fractions here. So a is a fourth and b is sixth. I'm going to write it out, replace a with 1/4 and b with 6. Negative 8 times 1/4 times 6. 8, a, b, those are all next to each other. That means multiplication. So first I'm going to do multiplication of negative 8 times 4. Negative 8 is negative 8 over 1. So negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. And 1 times 4 is 4. And then bring down multiplied by 6. Okay, I can simplify this, which is going to make things a lot easier. Negative 8 divided by 4, that is negative 2. Negative 8 over 4 is just negative 2. Bring down times 6. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Next one, I have 16 times 1/4 squared minus 4 times 6. Okay, first of all, parentheses means inside the parentheses, do any operations. There's nothing there. Exponents. I have 1/4 squared. 1/4 squared is 1/4 times 1/4. 1/4 times 1/4, I do 1 times 1, which is 1. 4 times 4, which is 16. Bring everything else down. So I bring down 16, bring down minus 4 times 6. I cleared out the exponents. Now I need to multiply divide. So right here I see multiplication. 16 times 1/16. 16 is just 16 over 1 times 1 over 16. 16 times 1, 16. 1 times 16 is 16. And 16 over 16 is really just 1 whole. Bring everything else down. So negative 4 times 6. Then I need to keep going with multiplication here. Negative 4 times 6 is 24. So I have 1 minus 24. And 1 minus 24 is negative 23. Okay, number 3. I have 5 times 6. And then divided by 32 times 1/4 squared. Okay, I just know 1/4 squared from the previous problem was 1/4 times 1/4, which was 1/16. So on the bottom here, I have 1/16, and then this is times 32 over 1. Okay, remember on the fraction, you're going to do everything on the top, then everything on the bottom. So 5 times 6 is 30. And then for the bottom part of my fraction, I have 32 times 1, which is 32, and 1 times 16, which is 16. 32 over 16, that's like 32 divided by 16, so that is 2. So my numerator is 30, my denominator is 2. 30 over 2. That just means 30 divided by 2, which gives you 15. And last one here. 12 times 1/4 plus 6 minus 1/4 minus 4. Okay, 12 times 1/4. Well, let me back up here. Inside the parentheses, I need to do that part first. So 6 take away 1/4. Well, that's like 6 wholes take away 1/4, which would be 5 3/4. Bring down minus 4. Okay, if I have 5 3/4 and I take away 4, I'm going to be left with 1 3/4. I have that part. Bring everything else down. 12 times 1/4. Okay, 12 times 1/4, that's 12 over 1 times 1 over 4. 12 times 1 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. And 12 divided by 4 is really just 3. So bring everything else down. 3 plus 1 3/4. Add the whole numbers. You have 4 3/4. Okay, this next part should be a review because it's plotting points, which we've already went over for a little bit for earlier in the unit. So we'll go through some examples together here. Example 2 says write the ordered pair that corresponds to point U. So corresponds just means the ordered pair that goes with or that matches point U. So we're going to look at our coordinate grid. We're looking for U, which is right here. Remember, when we list ordered pairs, they go in order from X and then Y, so X comma Y, and you put parentheses around it. So you've got the X axis, the horizontal one, so that X goes side to side, and then the vertical axis, Y, goes up and down. Okay, remember at the middle is 0, 0, and you always start at 0 when you're listing the ordered pair. So if I look at point U, I see that it's right here. So I'm going to start at 0, 0, and I go over first for the X value. So I see I can go over to -3. And there's point U over to -3. So I'll write -3, comma, then I go down and I see that it's at -4. So its location is -3, -4. Okay, over -3 and then down to -4. So you do the X value first, the horizontal, and then the Y value, the vertical. Example 3, which point is located at 5, -2? So we're always going to start at 0, 0. Remember the first number 5 means we're going to go over to +5. So if I start at 0 over to +5, and then -2 is how much we need to move downwards. So -2, and I see it's T right there, 5, positive, -2. So that's point T. Okay, and the next few here says we're going to use our graph to answer the questions. Write the ordered pair that corresponds to point Q. So I see Q is all the way up here, so I start at 0, 0. Okay, and I know that to move over on the x-axis, I don't move over at all. So that first number would be 0 because you're moving nowhere on the x-axis. So over 0, then I notice I'm moving up to 4. So 0, comma, 4. Put your parentheses around it. Number 6, write the ordered pair that corresponds to point P. So I can see P is right here. Okay, start at 0 and move over first, so over to 4. So I'm going to write 4, comma, then I notice I'm moving up on the y-axis, up to 4, comma 2, and put your parentheses around it. Number 7, what point is located at -4, 0? So remember, we're going to go over to -4, and then up or down 0. So if I start at 0, over to -4, 1, 2, 3, -4, I can see it's R because then I go up or down 0, I stay on the x-axis, so it's point R. And last one, number 8. What point is located in quadrant 2? So as a quick refresher, these four areas of the coordinate graph are all split into quadrants. So the top right is quadrant 1, and then it goes counterclockwise backwards. Top left, there's quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 is the bottom left, and the bottom right is quadrant 4. So these numbers are in Roman numerals. You're going to have to make sure you know those because that's how it's always going to be referred in Roman numerals. So when we're looking at quadrant 2, that's what number 8 asks us. In this quadrant, there's only one point. It is point N right there. Okay, you cannot say Q is in quadrant 2 because it's on the y-axis. It's not in quadrant 1 and 2. Nope, it's just on the y-axis. And you also cannot say R because R is on the x-axis. It's not in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3 or them. So the only point that's in quadrant 2 is point N.